So they said, you're going to, for 10 weeks, you're going to do CrossFit 3 days a week, and you're going to do the paleo diet. The paleo diet is what God put upon this earth to sustain us. And He knows what we need. So it's lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, berries, and seeds. So if you can run it down and kill it, dig it out of the ground, pick it off of a bush, you can eat it. That means no dairy, no grains of any kind. But when they take you lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and berries, you think, that's not so bad. Okay, but no dairy, no grains. When's the last time anybody in here got off of white flour? Anybody, can you clap? Can you clap or are you too weak? Anybody here been hooked on heroin? Anybody? I've never been hooked on heroin, praise God, but I was raised watching Shaft. I don't know if y'all watched that when y'all were little on TV, and they would always have somebody getting off of heroin. It looked like a booger. It looked like an awful booger. And I'm not trying to belittle that, but I'm telling you, I shook getting off of sugar and white flour. I was drinking coffee 24 hours a day. My teeth got yellow. I had to have those bleached. My husband said, "You are so hateful. Will you please eat a piece of white bread?" But Church of God Becky and I did it, honey. We did it. And I mean, then they took our after picture. It took, 10 weeks later, and I did not lose that much weight. It was like 8 or 9 pounds, but my body turned into somebody else's body, honey. And it was pretty cute. And I leaned out and I thought, oh my gosh. And so then they took our after picture, and I made sure I got a spray tan. And I had a really good bra on, and I took that picture. And I'm ashamed to tell y'all, but I won that competition. Oh, stop. I don't deserve to be applauded. I know y'all are thinking, oh gosh, Leanne, that's wonderful, but what happened? What happened, Leanne? I'll tell you what happened. I did okay for about 3 weeks, and then I spotted a tortilla. That's what happened. In Knoxville, our children's hospital, had asked me for years to be in there Dancing with the Stars. I want to be able to tell y'all it was ABC, but it wasn't. It was in Knoxville, and it was local celebrities. So it's like the weatherman and Phil Fulmer if he didn't have a knee replacement, and people like that. So they had asked me. There's not many celebrities, so they had asked me, and I said, well, I've been eating white flour, and I'm in a bad place, and I don't know. Because they make you wear a bikini with fringe sewn on it, like ABC. You wear outfits like that, so you're practically nude in front of everybody you've ever known. So I said, this is for little children. This is the least I can do. So they put me with a big old boy that was my partner. He was a doll, and it was very stressful. You had to learn a dance in 6 weeks. You had to learn a dance. You practiced at night, and then you begged for money during the day. It was a lot. And we were going to learn the cha-cha, to Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I was going to kill it. Well, one night, he kind of flung me hard, and I thought, oh, something popped. And something doesn't feel right. The next morning I woke up and there was this big bulging thing about right here. And I called my girlfriend in Greenville, Tennessee, and I said, I think I've got backed up poop. And she said, because I have trouble with that. But she said, I don't think poop goes up that far. And so she looked on her iPad on WebMD, but she sent me this picture of this man looked like an alien coming out of him. She said, is that it? And I go, that's it. She goes, you've got a hernia. So I went to my doctor and they said, we can't push this thing back in. And so the thing was in 5 days with Children's Hospital, and I didn't want to let them down. And I thought, Lord, what are we going to do? And my girls stepped in and learned a dance in 4 days. Bless their hearts, and they were practically nude. And they had to wear all that too. And I came out in a wheelchair to Proud Mary Keep On Turning. Yep, to get some low-rise and blue jeans. Have you girls bought pants in the last 5 years? Oh my goodness, terrible. Okay. I went into the Gap, this beautiful, darling little 19-year-old heifer brought me in a pair of blue jeans to try on. I did. Okay, the zipper, honest to goodness, was about that long. And they hit me about right here. And I said to her, I said, is my stomach supposed to be hanging out over my blue jeans? It looks like a small purse. I said, are my panties supposed to be hanging out this far out of the back of my pants? She said, no, you're supposed to wear a thong. I said, excuse me, miss, but I'm a Christian. I don't use my panties for evil. And she's mean as a snake. And we're scared to death of her, but we just tiptoe around her. She cries a lot, she doesn't know why, and she tells us, I don't know why I'm crying. And we just try to get through it. But I'm telling you, she can run a household. She's a grown woman. She has been ever since she got here. So I said, you're going to have to come in here, baby. I said, your daddy's going to take care of y'all. I'm going to Nashville for like 3 days. She bust out crying. I said, what's wrong? She said, don't leave us with him. He doesn't know where the food is. I said, well, that's why you're in charge. And she is. God love her. But my girls are emotional, and I don't mean to talk about them because I love them, and I know they'll visit me in the nursing home. But they are lunatics. My husband says they're psycho, and they need therapy. And I'll give you all an example. I can be in the pickup line at school, and this has happened when they were in first grade, and it happens every day when I pick them up at school now. I'm sitting in the pickup line, and I can see them come out, and they are in a good mood. And they're goosing each other and giggling and doing and talking and having a good time. They're waving to the teachers and the principal. See you tomorrow. Okay. Then they come over to my vehicle. Get in. Shut the door. My 11-year-old take her backpack and sling it and hit me in the back of the head with it. Every day she says something like this. I'm starving to death. You don't have a piece of cheese in this car? Your driving's making me car sick. I hate her. Why'd you have her? And then my baby will be sitting up there in a daze. She'll be going, Mama, 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 Mama. What? Mama, Mama, Mama. What? I'm listening. She asked me some of the craziest things. One day she said to me, "Did Jesus ever have head lice?" How do you answer something like that? I said, "Well, baby, if he did, I know he healed it." And then my girls be whipping each other in the back seat and telling each other how bad they hate each other and they wished each other were dead. And then my sweet boy will come out. He'll get in and he'll say, "You know, they're building a new Home Depot up on 281. Just as happy-go-lucky. He's just like this. He's been like that all of his life. He's 14. He's never sassed me. I know people say it's coming. I'm telling you, I don't think it will. And I'm in love with him. My husband says I have an unhealthy obsession with him. Whatever. And have y'all seen the goober mamas? The mamas that wear blue jeans up their armpits, you know? I don't want to be like that. So I went to the Gap to get some low-rise in blue jeans. Have you girls bought pants in the last 5 years? Oh my goodness, terrible. Okay. I went into the Gap, this beautiful, darling little 19-year-old heifer, brought me in a pair of blue jeans to try on. I did. Okay. The zipper, honest to goodness, was about that long. And they hit me about right here. And I said to her, I said, "Is my stomach supposed to be hanging out over my blue jeans? It looks like a small purse." I said, "Are my panties supposed to be hanging out this far out of the back of my pants?" She said, "No, you're supposed to wear a thong." I said, "Excuse me, miss, but I'm a Christian. I don't use my panties for evil." It goes from 5 to 18, so the little 5-year-olds come out and they are yummy, and you could eat their lips off. And they've got little bitty skirts on about the size of a napkin. And they come out to Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. And their little mamas are in their 20s, and they're not bitter yet. And they're in the front, making every move that their little children are making. Because those little children are babies and they need to be at home breastfeeding. They can't remember their act. So they go all the way up until they get to my baby's age, and my baby comes out, "Reef sharks." And for 2.5 minutes, my baby throws little children up in the air. Broken out in a sweat, working like a Trojan. And the whole time, it's the most freakishly tiny little people you've ever seen that she's throwing up in the air. Their little mamas are freakish, tiny little people too. I'm from farming country in Middle Tennessee. We grew dark fired tobacco, so I've got thick ankles. I can work in the fields. I don't know who these people are. I don't know how they birthed a little baby, their little cervix. So these freakishly tiny little children are up on top, and the whole time she's throwing them in the air, they're doing this. And nobody knows why. But this goes on for 2.5 minutes, and then the finale. All the little children hunker down on the stage, and the finale was my baby. They had my baby hop up out of that crowd with a child's foot in her hand. So y'all get what I'm saying. She had a human being up over her head with one arm. And that little girl's doing some kind of something up on top. My baby was a rock star. Thank you. I mean, really, I don't know when's the last, I never held one of my friends up over my head with one foot in my hand. It's a big deal. And the feminine boys went nuts. And they wanted her to stay so bad. They were like, we want you to stay. And she was like, I'm okay. I've got it out of my system. I'm okay. She said, but I'm keeping this whore outfit. She still has it. She says she's going to get married in it. But anyway. And I tell you, for you little mamas out there, you young mamas that are going through, got a bunch of little children vomiting in the carpet, peeing in the closet. When you're trying to pee and they like slide ham under the door and say, can you open this, Mom? I know what y'all want for Mother's Day. Y'all want an Ambien and a hotel room. I hope y'all get it. I hope y'all get it. When you get to be my age, and I'm 51 years old, honey, you beg your little children to come home and be up your butthole. I beg them and try to hold money over their head. All right, but they're all home. I'm so thankful, so grateful. Okay, y'all, we got a big night ahead of us. Y'all are precious. I want to talk to y'all about, because I am 51 and going through hormonal changes. Okay, I am with their daddy, and these children all walked off and left me with him. And he's so not fun. And he can't help it. He's that way because he has to make a living for all of us. And he's got a lot on us, and all the money's going out the window. And, because we got 2 in college, we just had 1 get married. But he and I are having to adjust being together for the first time in how many years, before we got married. And so he sends me emoji, kissy faces, and stuff like that. But I am low on progesterone and testosterone. He's low on testosterone, praise God. Okay, y'all, my baby child is 20 and lives in Knoxville. Okay, years ago, we wanted all these children to play sports, to keep them off of dope. And so they played all this stuff, all of them did. And my baby, my husband's 6'4", I'm 5'8". We breed big kids. So she, in elementary school, was like 5'5", 5'6". She was taller than all the little children and the principal and the teachers, and she hated it. But the good news is she's very athletic, very strong. So all over East Tennessee, people would call me and say, can she be the goalkeeper for our soccer team? I'll get her an iPhone. Yeah. Can she play basketball for us? She never played basketball. And y'all, I lived through her. And I made her do it. And I felt like LeBron James's mama. And so She came to me and she goes, I'm sick of this. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to play all this mess. She goes, I've decided that I want to cheer. And I said, well, baby, we're big people. And I said, we don't tumble, but I'll figure something out. Well, all over the United States, they've got this thing called competition cheer. And it's kind of like, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like Honey Boo Boo meets the Olympics, really. It's gymnast. They're gymnasts. And there's one in Knoxville called the Sharks. And they said, drop your baby off and she can try out to audition, whatever you want to call it. So I dropped her off and they ended up putting her on a bad mamma jamma team because all the little children her age came up to hear on her. And somebody's got to throw them up in the air. So they were thrilled with her and they treated us like royalty. But anyway, they said, you're going to come in here twice a week, learn a 2-minute routine. It's going to cost you $150 a month. It's like, okay. They said, there's a uniform that you're going to order, and it comes to here. It's going to expose her stomach. She's going to have a tiny skirt on with a slit in it with a glitter panty underneath it. It's $300. I said, that's a whore outfit. And it came with its own bag of whore makeup. So that all the little children could look alike. And they said, y'all are going to travel to faraway lands and compete against other little whore children. So we went to like Cincinnati or Atlanta. And we had to get hotel rooms and the gas and all of that. And then you drive up to a big coliseum, a huge coliseum. And there's tens of thousands of little whore children walking around. And my husband said, there could be pedophiles here. This is the ugliest thing I've ever, something's not right. Okay, so then they said, you're going to pay $150 for your baby to be in this competition. You're going to have to pay $30 to put a band on to get in and watch your baby in this competition. Somebody was selling corn dogs for $15. Okay. They start out with the babies, so it goes from 5 to 18 ages. So the babies come out in a tiny little skirt about the size of a napkin. And they come out to Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. And their little mamas are in their 20s. And they're not bitter yet. And they're in the front doing every move to keep their baby on track because they're babies and they need to be at home breastfeeding. So they move up throughout the day into my baby's age, and they're the reef sharks. They call out that name, honey, for 2.5 minutes. My baby throws little children up in the air, flinging little children, broken out in a sweat, working like a Trojan. Did you see my Spanx? Okay. All right. One of my girls said I look like Miley Cyrus in the Wrecking Ball in my Spanx. But anyway, so she throws these little children up. The little children she's throwing up in the air are the flyers. They call them the flyers. And they're freakishly tiny little children. I don't know where these people come from. Their mamas are freakishly tiny. I mean, I come from big people. I've got thick ankles. I can work in the fields. And the whole time she's throwing them up in the air, these little girls are going. Nobody knows why, really. So at the end of the routine, after the 2.5 minutes, the finale, everybody hunkers down on the stage, puts their forehead on the stage, and my baby is the finale. She pops up and has a little child's foot in her hand and holds that child's foot. I would put it all the way up, but my dress is tight in the back. But anyway, she holds this little child up over her head. Are y'all listening to me? I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, could you hold her up over your head or vice versa? I mean, you know, it's a big deal. So anyway, everybody went nuts. But she said, after it was over, she goes, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go back to playing. She ended up playing volleyball the rest of her childhood. But she said, I'm keeping that whore outfit. She said, I'm going to get married in it. They start out with the little tiny babies. It goes from 5 to 18. So the little 5-year-olds come out and they are yummy. And you could eat their lips off. And they've got little bitty skirts on about the size of a napkin. And they come out to Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. And their little mamas are in their 20s. And they're not bitter yet. And they're in the front, making every move that their little children are making. Because those little children are babies and they need to be at home breastfeeding. They can't remember their act. So they go all the way up until they get to my baby's age, and my baby comes out, reef sharks. And for 2.5 minutes, my baby throws little children up in the air. Broken out in a sweat, working like a Trojan. And the whole time, it's the most freakishly tiny little people you've ever seen that she's throwing up in the air. Their little mamas are freakish tiny little people too. I'm from farming country in Middle Tennessee. We grew dark fired tobacco, so I've got thick ankles. I can work in the fields. I don't know who these people are. I don't know how they birthed a little baby, their little cervix. So these freakishly tiny little children are up on top, and the whole time she's throwing them in the air, they're doing this. And nobody knows why. But this goes on for 2.5 minutes, and then the finale. All the little children hunker down on the stage, and the finale was my baby. They had my baby hop up out of that crowd with a child's foot in her hand. So y'all get what I'm saying. She had a human being up over her head with one arm. And that little girl's doing some kind of something up on top. My baby was a rock star. Thank you. I mean, really, I don't know when's the last, I had never held one of my friends up over my head with one foot in my hand. It's a big deal. And the feminine boys went nuts. And they wanted her to stay so bad. They were like, we want you to stay. And she was like, I'm okay. I've got it out of my system. I'm okay. She said, but I'm keeping this whore outfit. She still has it. She says she's going to get married in it. But anyway, I'm in love with my girls. I'm in love with them, and they're my best friends, especially as they get older. And I know that when I'm in the nursing home, they'll be the ones to come and pluck my chin hairs. But he has been from heaven. Okay, it's so wonderful. All right, well, he got married in September, and when he started bringing his wife around us, he would say to me, "You have a terrible look on your forehead." And I would say, "What? I don't know what you're talking about." But he said, "Mom, she's my best friend, and I want to marry her." They met in college at Berry College. And he said, "She's going to be my wife." And so I'm trying to, it wasn't anything against her. It was anybody that was going to come in and take my boy, because he's the best thing that's ever, all right, he's like the best of their daddy. He's like everything their daddy can't be. Does that make sense? So right before the wedding, he said, "Mom, she is my immediate family now. You're my extended. I'm supposed to cleave to my wife. That's biblical." And I said, "Why did I show him the Bible?" But they had a beautiful wedding, and really, when I got in there and the Holy Spirit was there, and God was in it, and I knew they were supposed to be together, and I love her. I mean, I love her. She's like another daughter to me now. And but I was freaked out, but everything is okay now. And then I got to thinking, how psycho am I that I want to keep him forever and have him live in the basement and be a weirdo. You know, that's twisted. So I was able to let him go. And I love her. She's like another child to me.
You made a decision not to quit.
And I tell you, my manager at the time said, "Leanne, there's this company in Salt Lake City, Dry Bar. Nobody's ever heard of it. It's a clean comedy platform. Nobody's ever heard of it." I remember him saying these words to me, "Nobody will ever see it. But they want you to do a special. They'll pay you a couple of $1,000s. They'll give you a hotel room. You're going to be in Dubuque, Iowa, doing the Chamber of Commerce luncheon." That's how bad my career was going. I was doing the Chamber of Commerce luncheon in Dubuque, which, let me say, there's some of the prettiest people in Dubuque, Iowa. I don't know who those people are. They're beautiful. But they didn't even hire me to do the nighttime thing. I was the luncheon. You know, I barely got enough money to get out there on a tiny plane with propellers at like where I thought I was going to go down. But, and he said, "Why don't you just scoot on out to Salt Lake City and do that, and we'll get clips. If anything, we'll get clips for you to get more Dubuque of Iowa luncheons." I'm not kidding. That's what he said to me. He had hit a wall. He didn't know what to do. And I was like, okay. And I went out there and did that Dry Bar thinking, this is nothing. But that I don't know, it's gotten like 50 million views. And that really didn't translate into ticket sales. Like, I still couldn't get booked in clubs. They would book me in a club, but they would say, "We love her. She doesn't get drunk and fight in the parking lot, but she can't sell tickets." You know, that's what they'd say. "We love her. She's sweet. Love her. Can't sell tickets." And then, so the Dry Bar thing, I was getting all these views and fans and stuff, but it wasn't translating into ticket sales and all that.
Yeah.
And then I said to my manager at the time, when I say that because I'm no longer with him, because I said to him, all the people that I admire, all the people that I love to watch and that I'm a fan of have got social media people. And that's the new thing. And I think I should hire these people to do my social media. And he was like, "You can't afford that and you don't need to do that." And I went against him. And it was a lot of money, but I invested in myself. And you know, Howard, I've done comedy for 22 years, but I was a mama first. And every dime I made, I bought uniforms with it. I got everybody's haircut. I never invested in a website for myself. I had like 2 headshots in 20-something years because it was just, I don't know, that wasn't good business on my part, but I just put everything into my children. That was what I did. And then at this point, in 2019, I thought, I'm going to hire these and I'm going to give it 3 months. I'm going to give these boys, these young boys, 3 months. And if it doesn't happen after that, I'll bow out of comedy. I knew I was going to have a grandbaby. Charlie got married right out of college. I knew they were going to have a bunch of babies. And I'm from the country. I wanted to be a meemaw. And I thought, I'll go to work at Target. I'm not kidding. I thought, I'll go to work at Target and I'll put bedding up in the back on those things. That looks fun. I really did. I thought, I'll just bow out of this.
You were about to tap out.
Yeah, I thought, I'm going to give it this. And then, because I had worked, my manager got me in some clubs. I couldn't sell tickets. I could tell they were like, oh, she's one of those dry bar comics. Like I was really not a legit comic. And over the years, like Comedy Central wouldn't have anything to do with me, I would get no's from all of them. And so I thought, maybe I'm not legit. Maybe this is it. This is the end of the road. And they put out one video about me taking Chuck Morgan to go see Def Leppard and Journey at Thompson Bowling Arena. And I talked about how, and I had filmed that. I had never done that bit before. I did it one time in Chattanooga. Somebody got it on film. Those boys put it out. And I've talked about old people at concerts and how everybody had plantar fasciitis and was worried about the snack bar. And everybody there is our age. And every once in a while, somebody would stand up and then they'd sit back down. And it went viral. And it was like a fire. Somebody lit a fire, and I could feel it. I could feel it in a wave go through my body. I knew what was happening. I was in New York City. We were moving my baby into school she went to school for makeup for television and film. We were in a tiny hotel room, and I said, I think something is happening. And Chuck said, the Uber's here. Get the luggage and let's get out. Everybody was worried about moving her in her apartment. And in my heart, I thought, oh my gosh, something is happening. And I could feel it, physically feel it. Does that make sense? I physically felt something. I thought, oh my gosh, I knew it. I saw thousands of people sharing. Well, people saw that and started looking at everything else that I had online that liked that. And then my manager called and said, they want to book you back in Orlando. They want to book you in Tampa. They want you to come to Chicago. And I started selling out all over the United States. It happened I'm not kidding, in 2 to 3 weeks, my life changed. Is that not the craziest thing? It's so much more special and wonderful than anything I ever thought it was going to be.
The reason I'm sitting here and just absorbing what you're saying, and hopefully not stepping on what you're saying, is because I saw it happen. And I'm so proud of you for not quitting.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
For not giving up, for believing in the possibility. So it starts to happen. 100-city tour?
Yes. So I was selling out all over the United States in comedy clubs. One-nighters, and then and people were lined up, and these comedy club people were like, where have you been? Your audience is the best audience we've ever seen. They're not rowdy. We don't have to calm anybody down. They're not fighting. It would be, and this is what was special, it would be a grandmama, like an 80-year-old woman who's never been to a comedy club. Her daughter, 50, and then her daughter, like 25. And they said, we've never seen this before. And I would see these little elderly people sitting in the front row with a little brooch on coming to a comedy club. and I'd think, I can't even believe this. And I really messed with my head, and I thought, I need to go home with every one of them and clean their house and make them a casserole. I really did. And put in a load of wash. Because they're coming out and doing this for me. Because it had been years, where I could not, comedy clubs, I worked comedy clubs, like 5 or 6 a year would book me, but most of them were like, I didn't come up in them, so they didn't want me. So anyway, that was all crazy. And then my agent called me. Somebody begged, my manager begged somebody to take me as an agent. I was selling out all over the United States, and they still didn't want me. And I don't know if it's because I was a 50-something-year-old woman from Tennessee. I don't know what it was, but they had to beg a guy, like a favor, can you take her as her agent? And so he took me, sweet young guy, and they call me and they go, Outback Concerts out of Nashville, Tennessee, which I've known Mike Smartack and Brian Dorfman for 20 years. I've always wanted to be in business with them. They did the Blue Collar Tour, and they do all the comedians that you've ever loved. Called me and they said, we want to give you a 50-city tour. Put it on sale, sold out. They said, we're going to give you another 50. So that was the 100-city tour, and I named it the Big Panty Tour. Let me tell y'all about her. I have treated her different from all the other ones, honey, because, all right, everything that she'd do, like she'd start crying when she's a baby, because babies, you know, the third, fourth, and fifth, you know, they cry, and you just let them. And I'd be like, what's she crying about? She wants your toy? Well, just give it to her. I can't deal with it. I remember saying, I swear, I remember saying one time, you want those knives to play with? Okay. What? Okay. When she was at getting her driver's license, so different from when the first one got his. Honey, he got his, and we were so strict with him. We'd say, you can go to school, but you got to call us when you get there. You can only come home. And then after 6 months, we were like, you can go to Steak and Shake. And then you got to come home. So strict. Then the second one didn't care anything about driving, really didn't start till she was close to 17. Well, this baby wanted hers the day she turned 16. I didn't think she was going to pass it because she doesn't care. So, but she did because she's smart. All right, let me tell you, she's one of those kids that, I know y'all know people like this. Like if I gave her $20 and said, make it to New York tonight, she would do it and have money left over. Like she's, you know, people like that, like got it up. Okay. So she passed that test. I was so mad because I thought, oh, I'm not going to have a baby in the car with me anymore, even though when they're in middle school and high school, isn't that aggravating? When they turn that radio up and it's blasting and I don't like that song and booming and a-doing, and then I'm trying to drive and I feel like when I can't hear, I can't see. Oh, I don't know. It's awful. But she went and got that darn driver's license, and this is how different it was raising her from the first one and the second one. She got that driver's license. My husband and I were sitting there at night, and he said, where is she? And I said, I don't know. And he said, does she have any money? And I said, I don't know. Nobody ever said another word. Bathing suit season, Lord. I've always worn a miracle suit, and I'll talk about that in just a minute, but I did a show for a group here in Knoxville, they were darling. And after I did it, a woman came up to me and she goes, Leanne, are you not going to Sears and buying you a swim dress? And I thought, well, I didn't know my life was over. So she said, you need to go to Sears or order it online with Land's End. And it's a swim dress. She goes, you're going to love it. I promise you. Okay, so I go to Sears at Westtown Mall. When's the last time any of y'all went to Sears at Westtown Mall? There's not a soul in the Westtown Mall Sears. They've got the lights on. There's nobody working. There's nobody there shopping. I swear I think they're running dope out of Sears. But I got me a swim dress, and I am beautiful in it. And I'll tell you why, because it shows my arms. My arms, the only thing I've got left living for. And they are my daddy's. Jimmy Fletcher, I got them from him. My sister gets so mad because she didn't get them, and she'll call me and say, "You got daddy's arms," and just hang up on me. But this swim dress, okay, it cinches up through here, so it's real flattering right there. And then it comes down and hides all this boogity-boo I got going on right here. And I am beautiful in it. I hate to say that. It kind of looks like Titanic, but for years I wore a miracle suit. Okay, the miracle suit is in Dillard's and Bell, Macy's, or all over. And there'll be hundreds of them in a big area at a department store. And there's a tag hanging from all of them that says, "Miracle Suit. Lose 10 pounds in 10 minutes. And you do, because you sweat yourself to death trying to get it on. Because the miracle suit has a girdle in it. They're one piece. So the girdle is right through here, so it smooths you out real pretty through here. You look really good because it squeezes your fat out in all the other directions, all the other holes. And I would buy it because I felt desperate and I didn't know what else to do. And I didn't feel pretty in them. And then I'd buy a sarong and wrap it around my whole body. And then sit under an umbrella and act like I was reading. But I bought them every year. I had them all the time. And I look back in videos from vacations and I've got them on and it's awful. Okay, so my girlfriend, the one with poop, you remember her? Okay, she found out that I had one. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I want one." So she drove down from Greenville, Tennessee, and they went to the Dillards. And she brought her 14-year-old daughter with her, and they got in the dressing room at Dillard's, and the 14-year-old was sacking her mama up in this bathing suit. And her 14-year-old said, "Mom, this is so gross." "Put it back, let's get out of here." She said, "I can't, I've got to buy it, I just peed in it." I had 3 beautiful children that I'm in love with. I have a son who is 14 years old now. I cannot believe it. Thank you. And I have 2 little girls that are 11 and 9. And my baby child is in 4th grade now. I cannot believe it. When she went to kindergarten a few years back, that was going to be the first time that I was going to be by myself all day long from 8 to 3, all by myself. I nearly grieved. About 3 weeks into kindergarten, I was like, it's your birthday, Now I ain't gonna get a pap smear without somebody sitting on my head. I'll never forget the day that I found out about her, and I feel terrible about it now. But I was overwhelmed. I knew something wasn't right. I didn't feel good. I thought, oh my gosh, surely I'm not pregnant this quick, this soon. And you know when you got to know something, you got to know it right then. I had to know right then. I grabbed up my 2 babies and diaper bag and all that stuff you take with you everywhere you go, and I went to the Walmart in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And I bought an EPT pregnancy test, and I took it in the stall at Walmart. And I tinkled on it. And my 3-year-old boy looked at me, he said, "What, is it positive?"
And it was. So I drove home just as fast as I could. And I called my husband at work. And I said, "You're trying to kill me, aren't you? With a slow vaginal death. Is that what you're trying to?" "Well, you're not going to. You better get home right now, because I'm going to walk out in the woods and let the animals eat me." But let me explain to y'all why I was so torn up. I had a 13-month-old baby girl in diapers and a 3-year-old little boy in Superman panties with doo-doo balls falling out. At the grocery store. I thought, oh my Lord, did anybody see that? I don't have anything in my purse to pick it up with. Is some little child gonna think it's a milk dud? Let's just keep on moving, everybody. Just keep on moving. But God knew better than I did, because she's been a doll baby, but she's ruined. And I know I'm the one who did it. I was tired and beat down. So, anybody here who has more than 2, you know, good night by that 3rd and 4th one. You got to let them do what they got to do, you know. All right, I know you boys have been waiting for me to talk about my panties. I know, calm down. You know, I named this the Big Panty Tour. I've done 100 cities. This is winding it down. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. And people ask me all the time, "Why'd you name this Big Panty Tour?" And I tell people, I like big panties. Big panties say to me, freedom. Comfort. I was wearing these tiny panties for years, and they were cutting me in two. I thought, who are these for? Little children? I love, boys, are y'all watching? I love a high-cut brief. I love a high-cut brief, and I like it to come over my stomach. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And the kind that I wear are called Vanity Fair lingerie. Beyond comfort. Beyond comfort. And they are soft and luxurious, and they don't ride up. They stay out of my crack. I don't want anything in my crack. I know, love them, okay. But I want you boys to know that I've held on to some tiny little hateful panties. And I've kept them in a drawer, and I get those out every once in a while in case some bills need to get paid, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's biblical. Have y'all ever heard of that book, 5 Love Languages? It is wonderful, and it works. It's the real deal. My husband and I went on a Sunday school class retreat when our children were little, and we watched this little frail man talk about it, okay, and it was on Oprah, so you know it's real. But anyway, what it is there's 5 love languages, and you get the book, you read the book. Well, you don't really, I don't read the book. But anyway, you take the test, and it tells you what your prominent love language is out of those 5, and it tells you what your partner's love language is. So then you can go home at night and feed your partner their love language. And they can feed you your love language, and then your love tank feels full. And if you don't do it, then your partner's liable to go to work and they're at the water fountain and some whore comes in. And feeds their love language. And then they feel a tingle. And then Satan swoops in. Y'all know where I'm going with that? It's a disaster. So, there's 5 love languages. There's quality time. You just can sit and watch ESPN with somebody, you know, which I don't want to, but I mean, you just sit with somebody. Okay, then there's gifts. And you can just give them a card and they feel loved. It doesn't have to be something expensive. Okay, then there's physical touch. And most women in here will go, oh my gosh, that's my husband's. Physical touch. He's on me like a duck on a June bug. But it's not that kind of nasty. I'm talking about, you know, like there's people that just want to hug you and kiss you and squeeze you and they got to hold your hand. That's the physical touch they're talking about. Okay, then there's words of affirmation. That's mine. So all my husband has to say is, Leanne, you are a good mama. Leanne, that Trisha Yearwood's chicken piccata is to die for. And then my love tank feels full, and then I'm willing to do something vulgar with him. My love language is words of affirmation. Okay, if you have not taken that test, go get you a book called The 5 Love Languages. My husband and I did it at the Methodist Church. When we were just married, we went on a retreat, and we did this. And they have one for your children and they have one for your spouse. So you read it, you take the test, and everybody has a prominent love language. There's 5 of them. And so you find out what your spouse's love language is. And they find out what your love language is, and you feed each other their love language. And then when you do, their love tank feels full. And if they feed you yours, your love tank feels full. If you don't feed them their love language, they go to work. And they're at the water fountain. And some whore comes up. And feeds them their love language. And then they feel a tingle. And then Satan swoops in. Everybody, I think you know where I'm going with that. Okay. So there's 5 love languages. The first one is quality time. You know people that just want you to spend quality time with them. Just them. Okay. Then there's physical touch. I know you girls think, that's my husband. Physical touch. He's on me like a duck on a June bug. But I'm not talking about that kind of physical touch, the nasty kind. I'm talking about, you know, people that just want to squeeze and they're physical and they want to hold your hand, they want to hug on you, that kind of physical touch. Okay, then there's gifts. And that's my sister. She loves, if you've thought about her, it doesn't have to be expensive. If it's a rose, if it's a card, hers is gifts. She feels love and her love tank is full. Mine is words of affirmation. So all my husband has to say is, Leanne, you look beautiful today. Or Leanne, that Trisha Yearwood's chicken piccata is to die for. And then I'm willing to do something vulgar with him. And then he gives me money to get my hair highlighted. You see how that works? That's really biblical. Okay, and then the 5th one is acts of service. So that's my husband. So I have to, honest to goodness, I have to go in the garage and build a set of shelves for him to feel love.